Hello everyone, welcome to our program, What's Up with Postcolonial Literature. My name is Ruby and I shall be the moderator for today's session. I would also like to welcome our speakers, Sya and Aimi. All right, everyone.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here and thank you so much for anyone who is watching. We really appreciate your presence. Basically for today, we are going to have a conversation regarding literature and not just literature, about stories and how it affects our world nowadays. In particular, we would also like to discuss the study of it, the study of stories and why we are the proponents for such a discipline. All right. So for me personally, I find that literature to be a study of stories that do enlighten us about human and society. Particularly talking about post-colonialism, I know that it's a big word, but post-colonialism is something that allows us to understand the functioning of a colonial society. And to be honest, if you just look at around the region, I think most of the countries have experienced colonialism and we are still living in the aftermath of it. All right. So yeah, so it is something that warrants a lot more discussions and a lot more application in our real life. I shall let me just provide a few instructions basically to give us a better flow. So number one, I will be asking what do you enjoy about the study of post-colonial literature? Because Sya and Aimi are our MA postgrad, me included, me included, hopefully. So both of us, all three of us have been studying this for the past 1.5 years, and we are still quite surprised how we are faring and still enjoying it each day. And then we will be talking about the challenges. I think it is important to be very realistic and pragmatic. And then we will be talking about what do we find memorable. So in this third section, we will include texts and lessons and theories, any aspects, a lot more specific, any aspects of post-colonial literature that we would like to share with everyone. And then finally, how does being a student of post-colonial literature affect our worldview? And that is very important because I am a believer that knowledge without application is mere information. So how do we make it relevant in our current society, in our contemporary existence, so to speak, all right? Okay, so I shall start our first round. What do we find enjoyable about being a student of post-colonial literature? So I'm gonna start with Sya. So Sya, the floor is yours.
Hi everyone. So my name is Shah. So what do I like and enjoy about the program? So here's the thing. I'm always excited about learning anything new. Okay. I know it's probably cliche, but to be honest, it's the way first our lecturers that let us dive into topics together and make it enjoyable despite some topics or courses being challenging. So learning with them is like yes, challenging, yet really fun and intriguing at the same time. Um, and this will be theories are included in this. Like it could bore you if it's not taught properly. Honestly, so I am no teacher, but to me, great lecturers won't bore the classes. So that's that. And then I think this program also lets me discover what I like, and the lecturers are very helpful to send me, materials that they think would help me tremendously. I think I will forever be thankful for this. So the lecturers, they never lack. They're always super helpful. Each class or course is unique in its own way. That there are tons of new things like, books and films and other arts to be studied in every angle. So can you imagine courses like this with rich materials given by thoughtful and helpful lecturers to to end? It would be a waste that future students have not yet discovered how this program would help shine them. I mean, look at my course mates. You know, they're all unique and always happy to share and, you know, help me whenever needed. So yes, that's what I treasure the most.
Thank you so much, Shah. I love that you mentioned that, all right? Because for me, teachers are also storytellers, and I'm also a part-time educator, so I always believe in that. And then imagine these storytellers in class tells us the tales of post-colonialism. Hopefully, in the future, we get to continue the story so that there shall be linkage from the past to the present and to our future. All right. And then yes, I do second that opinion that the learning process is very important, because I think none of us knew how we would fare uh, in this particular program. Yes, just for everyone's information, all three of us, we didn't come from a literary background. I think we were very far from a literary background. I studied law, and then Shad studied creative writing, and then Aimi studied English as a second language. Right. So yes, education, legal, and creative writing. So yes, I think so. None of us didn't really know what to expect. That is when I think the function or the role of educators of literature really shines through, even today at this stage of our studies. So yes, thank you so much, Shah, for emphasizing on that, because I think a lot of people just look at it as a discipline, as a field, without realizing there are a lot of humans engaged and invested in it. So thank you so much, Shah. All right, Aimi, what about you, Aimi? Share with us your thoughts. Sorry, Aimi, you're muted.
Okay. Hi everyone. So first, I just would like to start with saying that everyone has their own definition of freedom, and to me, post-colonial course, is the definition of freedom to me, because I'm someone who is driven by my own interests, which means I like to learn what I like to learn. I will work hard on it. So in this course, in this program, it gives me the freedom that I didn't know I was looking for. Basically, if you have an interest with something, let's say you wanted to learn about this particular genre or this particular book, instead of you feeling yourself being limited to it, the lecturers here actually help you. They will help to um, they will help to actually refine your thoughts or your ideas um, into better information or things to share or to talk about or to make thesis out of it. So that is very helpful for me, and also our community itself. Whenever you find yourself hitting like a dead end or a wall, you can just go to them, your friends, your lecturers, they will definitely help you out with it. So I think that is what I like the most about the course, the freedom, and also the helpful community that you have with the lecturers and friends.
Hi. Thank you so much, Aimi. That is a very important point, freedom. I think that is truly the value of what it means to be a human being, and what more, a learner. And I think what I got from what you said mainly is learning should promote freedom. Learning is basically what we need, the process we undertake to be a free person, perhaps not physically, because realistically it's not possible, but at least intellectually, it is a must for us. We may not be free absolutely, but trying to get there is a journey in itself, isn't it? And I also like how for you it's very important. And yes, and I do agree with that, because studying literature, studying stories, you explore first. Like you said, we have a lot of ideas, so we were like going here, going there, going here, going there, and then there is also that end result of how do we express it. So knowing a lot of things, is it enough? No, it's not enough to be talking realistically. So what then we do? So basically, that is how I think the program equips us with the skills that you mentioned. Because exploring, we cannot explore without guidance. We can, or else none of us would be here. We would just be reading endlessly and having all this cluttered brain ideas in our head, and Sya would know what I mean, all this clutter feeling. That is why education and the value of it comes in. So yes, and then for me to express is so important, because to express your ideas, you're basically actualizing your thoughts into a proper intellectual product. And that is, I think, where all of us are hoping to strive. So yeah, so that is the good part about being a postcolonial literature student. I think we get to be better students and better learners. And in the process, I do hope that we become better humans and better individuals as well. All right, but of course, while we are in that path, we cannot help but to face challenges, and that is where we're gonna go now. All right. So yes, the challenges of being a postcolonial literature student, because we're talking about literature, but there is that societal aspect of post-colonialism, a very heavy word. And of course, as we all know, with heavy power comes heavy responsibility. And I think all of you can relate to that, all right? So I would like to ask Aimi to start first. So Aimi, what do you find challenging academically and also personally? Because I think both apply in this case.
Well, academically, I think that there's a lot of new terms or new things, new gerund, I would say, that I learned from this course. But because at first it feels so heavy, but as you go through, because in this program, every courses are related to each other. So it's not redundant. So when you learn, you can connect it to the other course that you have learned previously. So it gets easier as the semester goes by, I would say. And personally for me, I'm a slow reader. So as a post-colonial student, there's a lot of books that you have to read, not only books, journals, there's a lot of things you have to read. So as a slow reader, that is at first a challenge for me. But I think the good part of it is it trains me to be a speed reader. So now I can just like read 4 books per week and it's fine. And even if you think that you can't read that much, there's other sources that will help you throughout the way, like audiobooks, maybe some explanations from YouTube. The extra sources are very abundant, I would say, on the internet, especially in this era. So even though there's challenges, I definitely think that you can overcome it. Like I overcome it as a post-colonial student.
All right. Thank you so much, Aimi. That is actually quite, how do I say this? That is actually quite true. Reading is challenging, I think. And then I like how you pointed out suggestions and ways in which we can apply to overcome it. So it's not just a matter of what we read, it's also a matter of how we read. And then, of course, we must always remain aware about the resources we have online. So that is what makes us different, perhaps, from the previous batches of post-colonial students or any students of that generation, is that we're online and everything can be searched. So it's just a matter of, again, being guided or just exploring on your own first. But yes, so there are ways, and if only we can share with you the text that we have. So first impression, they look, how do I say this? Finishing them seems unattainable or almost impossible, but we have to start doing it, and then we end up, most of the time loving what we are reading. So yes, and also I like how you mentioned everything is linked, everything is connected, and that is so true. Of course, you only realize this perhaps after 1 semester or 2 semesters, and I like how actually each subject or even each lessons and each discussions and each student represents a section of the society, represents an aspect of the society that we may not get exposed to, a different angle of looking at things. If I can just provide an example, how Sya, coming from the creative writing background, Sya is very observant about the tiny visual details that me, being a legal background, I always look at power, politics, and it gets really predictable to think, via our own lens. And then Aimi always about gender and family. So Aimi has that sensitivity. So yes, all of us have different sort of sensitivities. And then the subjects that we learn from each educator, they themselves come with their own specific approaches. So that is why I feel we are very lucky that we are able to be more aware of the society around us with multiple lens. And of course now we are, of course, critical human beings, and our brain can never really quite take a pause, okay? But I think that is what it takes to be a scholar of literature. All right. So yeah, so moving on from the question of challenges, obviously we make memories, and there are a lot of things that we have gone through, like Aimi said, you made it, challenges, and we overcome it. I'm sure there are some parts that we find very, very memorable, positive and negative, because there are always both sides to an experience, so to speak. So I would like for, wait, challenges, I forgot to ask Sya. Sya, challenges, Sya, before we go to memory.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's fine, it's
challenges,
fine.
which can be memorable, to be honest.
Okay, so for my part, right, challenges. As I've said before, hate is a strong word for me, but um first of all, I did not score any history subject like in school, and then it was challenging because it's post-colonial. Obviously, you have to do with a specific, time frame that I should remember by heart at least. And then, but after a few weeks of attending classes, because it was very overwhelming, to be honest, in the first place, and then I kind of got the rhythm. Like I said just now, because we have really, really, really helpful lecturers, so it was made easy, because there is a trick to it. Maybe read more historical fiction, like the one Amy mentioned and Ruby mentioned as well. We watch YouTube for more information, and it helps. And the narratives would help in tracing back times if we read historical fiction, because we have been colonized, and even other countries for that matter. So it was challenging, but with a helpful trick, your passion will grow within time. That's from me. I think that's challenging, but you sure will have the trick for it. Yeah.
Thank you
Yes.
so much, Sya. I love that tracing back time, Sya. That is, it really made me think. A lot of what you girls said actually made me think. And that is such a 1-0 scholar, I think. So tracing, so why do we do that? People always think that literature is just reading stories, without realizing that literature is not just a novel or a book, Nobel Prize for Literature, Booker Prize for Fiction and whatnot. Literature can also mean, newspapers and advertisements, even visual pictures, photos, everything can be analyzed either textually or not textually. So why do we trace back time? It is such a heavy responsibility to do so, because I think we are constructing the stories in society. And then why do we do that? Hopefully we get to predict patterns, to understand why are things happening to us in the present and in the future. So I think that is where we position ourselves in our community, in our society, and in our country, hopefully. So yes, very, very challenging. And I like that none of us had history training also. But then, with passion, and I must say our educators are very, they are the flames, they are the fans that flame our passion, and then we just go. So that is why our journey, I think, is not easy, but always manageable, and always filled with hope. But for me also, Sya, I do agree with you. That is the challenge, tracing back stories of the past, because the books that we read, of course, they were written in the past, and usually about the stories happening in the past for the writer themselves. And so the construction of that world I find, wow, that is when our analytical skills come in, our reading skills come in, and like Aimi said, trying to understand them. What if we read them once and we don't get it? So that is why we always, you know, me, Sya, and Aimi, the three of us are always discussing, trying to make sure that the construction of our understanding is at least similar to each other. And if they are different, why? Okay, so yes, because variety also colors our world. All right, so yes, let's go to the third one, memorable. So what did you find memorable, or any text, any lessons, any theories, any classes that really gave you this light bulb moment and you realize, wow, this changed me, hopefully for the better. All right, so I will start with Sya this time.
Yes, okay. So, memorable definitely when we have sessions like this, because our classes have been online first and foremost, and I have only, the chances to meet all of you here in this medium, never upfront, though I would love to. So whenever we have sessions that we can throw our ideas or be in classes and be free with it, I think it is memorable. And I'm a slow reader too, and I appreciate every reading material that is given, and I never knew I would do Shakespeare in this course, given that it's postcolonial literature. But hey, I did it and loved it. All thanks to Dr. Chan for introducing. And so we have lived in the pandemic for like 2 years already, and having to live with Netflix. These theories come in handy while watching some TV shows or films. So I love that without having to say any specific a lesson or theory, I know what falls under which, sort of. And this program is just simply rich on its own. That's what I love about it. So it packs you with this everlasting knowledge, I would say, and in whatever path you may walk. So yeah, that I dare to say. Yes.
Thank you, Sha, for mentioning that collaboration part. I think in meeting all of you, even though we come from different parts of the world, our friends, some are from China, some are from Iraq, and then I think in the past we've had seniors from India, and yes, a few other countries as well. So I think that is actually very, very enriching. Because I mean, I've had limited communication with people from different backgrounds for the past few years, to be honest, prior to joining this course. So that camaraderie, that collaboration, I think further expands, really, whether we like it or not, further expands our perspective. Each of us, I'm sure, even just being here, right? Each of us come with different stories, different baggage, different sort of hope, different visions, and every time we share our understanding about any narrative, any tales, or like Shakespeare, then we get to have this conflict, but resolve those conflicts. And when we have prejudices, we get to unlearn that prejudices and hopefully be more intentional and purposive with how we view any sort of ideas or thoughts that we encounter. So thank you so much, Shah. That is very memorable, isn't it? But I'm glad, I think we are very blessed to meet good, I think, partners in learning and also mentors. All right, Aimi, what about you, Aimi?
I think like the most memorable thing about this program is actually the courses itself, because when you first learn about the post-colonial word, it sounds intimidating and very constrained, but it's actually not. And one of the proof is we did learn about Gothic in this course, in this program, even though when you think about it, what is the relationship between Gothic and also post-colonial? But there's actually a link where taking Dr. Anita's class in the last semester, I learned that when I think about Gothic, I always think about vampires, ghosts, something very European, but it's actually, when it's translated into the Asian context, Gothic is something that is haunting, repressed memories, memories that is haunting you. So the sufferings that we face during, let's say, the Japanese invasion during that time, the Japanese era, in Malaysia, let's say in this context, it is very Gothic. It's considered as the post-colonial Gothic. So technically, post-colonial is Gothic. So that is what I learned, and I'm very impressed because before this, I felt that Gothic is something very far from me. I never thought about it because I felt that it was distant. But now it's close. It felt very close to me, where post-colonial is already close to my heart, and now adding the Gothic elements, it spices the way I think about both post-colonial and also Gothic. And another memorable thing that I really hold dear to me is actually how I actually felt safe when expressing my ideas, discussing with lecturers and friends about what you think about this tech or the movies that you have to watch in general, because everyone have different ideas, but because the lecturers and friends have created this safe space for you to actually throw out your ideas or express your emotions, feelings about certain texts, it felt safe because we have learned to agree to disagree if we came to that point. So everyone is very respectful for everyone's thoughts and opinions, so that is very memorable to me.
Two very important points, Aimi, but I shall address perhaps the second one. I think the second one, feeling safe. I think in education, that is the number one non-negotiable aspect of learning. I think feeling safe is not just a physical sense, it's also emotional and intellectual. Knowing that our voice matter makes us feel human. Such a simple sentence, isn't it? But I'm sure you girls have also experienced incidents where we were not allowed to feel equal or respected by others. So I think that concludes that this program empowers us in so many ways. And yes, I love how the lecturers, the educators always ask us, what do we think of this? What do we think of that? Movies or pictures and that. So reactions, even reacting to something, I thought it was just a natural daily life, like things that I wouldn't pay attention to, but our reactions to certain things can also be start to an idea that can be developed and then further solidified. So that is, I think, a very wonderful experience to have as an aspiring scholar. And the second one, Gothic, very, very true. I was very surprised when you said it because we always associate Gothic with, for me, it's cathedral, you know, that design of like, you know, Art Deco, European. Okay, I do not know any terms that is Eurocentric, but you girls know what I'm. Always colonial buildings, always white.
Yes, totally.
And then a bit of light, you know, lightning here and there. But when you mention Gothic, as in haunting, repressed memories and sufferings, I mean, in a colonized society and the impacts afterwards, these things we have in abundance. And of course, if our grandparents felt it, our parents would inherit such a trauma, if I may say so myself. And then we are also basically the heirs to such sufferings as well. Of course, it's not we are not the primary sufferers of it, but we would feel the consequences. So yes, wonderful, Gothic. And yes, the same thing I learned from Dr. Anita's class, pop culture, how things that we thought were Eurocentric can actually be applied in any society. Of course, not in a Eurocentric manner, but we could also see how everything is linked, because we live in a global world where no ideas can be restricted within the confines of a nation. So that is very wonderful. I mean, I love how you express that your belief about Gothic literature was basically disproved. It's like it's not just Anne Radcliffe or Frankenstein, Mary Shelley, or any other Gothic writers. We always think them as these heroines in blonde hairs, but now we can, we can look at Hannah Alkaf, The Weight of Our Sky, The Girl and the Ghost, and those are very Gothic. In its elements. All right. So thank you so much, Aimi. Very, very meaningful sharing. All right. Okay. Yes. What about? Okay. So those are the memorable things. So a lot of how do I say this? Very impactful thoughts that have been presented by both of you. I will now go to the section where I ask you, how do then these powerful thoughts change your worldview? And worldview is a very big word. I'm so sorry that I'm using that. But basically, how do we situate what we know and what we are continuously training ourselves to know in the world today? Okay. For example, I'm an educator, and then around me I have teenage students, and then of course fellow grown-ups, and then Sya is also working in her own universe, and then Aimi also working in her own universe, and then together we make up this mini section of Malaysian society, and then hopefully in the future we get to expand our contact in a wider society as well. So then how does our scholarship in postcolonial literature influence our worldview? So I'm going to go to Sya first. Sya?
Thank you, Ruby. So, like I mentioned just now previously, every class, in fact, has impacted me in its own ways, whether it's theories or text use. But, most importantly, I appreciate how ideas are thrown out by everyone, shared together by classmates, and then polished by lecturers for our own betterment. Some knowledge, knowledge in general humbles you and truly takes you places. So, I hope I don't sound too ambiguous, but my coursemates sure, would understand what I mean. And what I'm trying to say is that from the materials that we were given out until the lessons we each got from our friends and lecturers have impacted my worldviews on things, even and it opens my eyes on cultures that I only have the chance to hear and not yet experienced. And you are blessed with environments that permit us to even attend classes like this, while some people in certain corners of the world do not have the privilege of it at all. So here we are learning from them and their conditions, and needless to say, we become aware. So we become aware, and I don't want to end this in a different light or tone, so I shall end this by saying that I am able to speak and articulate this all thanks to this program that has tremendously shaped my worldviews, or just things in general. And if I have not said this enough, I am grateful, and I do want more and more future students to experience this and actually benefit from it. Yeah, so that's how this program has impacted me and my worldviews. Yes.
Thank you so much, Sya. I love the part where you mentioned articulation of ideas. If I can just ask you a question, Sya, what do you think perhaps were the hindrances of us articulating our ideas prior to joining the program? Of course, we articulate better now, but what were the hindrances, do you think, that we had before the program?
I think it's safe to say that, okay, if we go back to what Aimi said, the safe space, we have at least me, I find more freedom when I'm in a safe space, when I'm in any safe space. But our classes in Dr. Rice classes, whenever we did a few literature, I think we read a few books, and we discussed a few sensitive things, and by having safe space, it actually helps us to articulate things better. But before this, I was this, really small girl, very scared of, saying things, not knowing how to put, things properly. But yeah, I'm still learning, you know, and that's what I think I like about this course, the safe space. Thank you, Amy, for saying that first.
I just think
Yeah.
Aimi has such a great way of articulating ideas
Oh.
within, like, like 2 3 words, and I find that a marvelous marvelous skill to have, Aimi. But yes, I also think that safe space is basically just this soil that you need to make sure that your ideas can be planted and grow. So without the soil, our ideas are just floating around, having no a ground to land on and to also hopefully be developed in the future. So yes, that is
Yeah.
very very true.
And
And then
and guidance, right?
and guidance, yes,
Yes.
linked to the need to have freedom that Aimi said. So yes, everything is linked. Our reactions to such a program and how it has impacted us. So yes, and I also love when you said knowledge humbles us and takes us places. And I must say, like, if anyone is destined to study literature, I thought I was a brilliant reader. Wow, I read a lot of books almost every few days. And then coming to this program, I started to realize that reading a lot means no such thing. Reading a lot doesn't make you automatically more, skilled. But what are you reading, or how are you reading? That also matters. So yes, and I love how Shah mentioned there is no one specific change that she experienced. With every text, with every moment, Shah finds herself changed. Lots of steps. Like mini steps. Of course, after 6 months, after 1 year, almost I would say that intellectually, I would not recognize the person I was before becoming a student of
So
postcolonial literature.
true.
Yes, yes. So that is quite amazing, isn't it? So the worldview. I think we have evolved, and by being evolved individuals, that is the transformation that we are. The transformation that has taught us a lot. All right. So yes. What about you, Aimi? How has it impacted your worldview? This program.
Before this, I think that whenever I don't understand something or I dislike something, I usually just stay with that emotion or that opinion. But after taking this course, I began to see this idea of dislike, something that I dislike, or the opinion that I don't agree with, in different perspective. Because from this program, I learned that there are layers to an idea or to an emotion, to a feeling event. So there's a lot of perspective that you can look at in trying to understand or trying to grasp the whole meaning of why the event happened, or why, let's say, why the author felt such way, or why we as the reader feel similar way as what the author has written or intended for us to feel. So there's a multiple layer of perspective to look at, which means you got to read the same idea or to watch the same event happening multiple times in different perspective. So does you have the whole understanding of it, which is very interesting. So nowadays when I see something that I don't like, I try to look at it from another angle and see if I like it better this way, or yeah, just things like that. So having stumbled upon things that I find difficult, I now am trained to look at it at a different perspective, so I can overcome the difficulties when reading something or watching something. So I think that that's how it changed me as a person or as a reader or as a student in general. So yeah, I think that's it.
Aimee basically said that she has a set of new eyes. And that is, I think I could agree with that. It's like every week, new eyes. You like, because we wear glasses, don't we, Shah? It's like changing into a new spectacles. But I find that I resonate with that so much, Aimee, because when we don't get things, or when other people, especially people we like and people we respect, like our classmates and our lecturers, when they understand things a different way we did, I feel, oh, did I do something wrong? Like, what am I not getting? And of course, we, being literary students, we are very critical. That is the number one thing that we have turned into. But I do like how, okay, so disliking something or a negative feeling is not the end in itself. It can also lead to more exploration, to more investigation as to why we feel, such a thing. So that is actually very, very true. I think the worldview there also includes accepting ourselves and who we are, and our past education, our past values, and then, like Sya said, evolve into perhaps a person of more knowledge that can be posited in the world today. Because we cannot deny that change is a must. But what can we do with this discipline that can help us towards that, to a betterment, of society? Because we cannot just read, and then just be very safe within our own confines. So that is the beauty of it. So we have a safe space to further counter or challenge any dominant hegemony out there. And this dominant hegemony, we discuss it every single class. So yes, like Aimi said, multiple perspectives are always very important. And if we do like something, check our bias or check our lens. And if we do dislike something, why is that? So it does make us more aware as human beings. We do not accept blind faith and such. And of course, that wouldn't be possible without the guidance of our educators, because I think our lecturers, they don't force us to adopt a view, any view. Isn't that amazing? And then everything that we have become, it was basically our conscious choice. And I always also love that trust in our judgment, because I sometimes don't trust my own judgment as a scholar. But of course, choices must be made. All right. So thank you so much, Sya and Aimi, for your thoughts and ideas. But before we end, just perhaps some few words to conclude the session. I'll start with Aimi first.
Okay, so in all, I think that I really like this program, because I think that it makes me a better person. I think it makes me really want to learn and explore things, because like I mentioned before, the safe space, the best educator that you can ever wish for, it's here. And also the friends, the community you have, it's different than what I have experienced before, because everyone is so helpful. Like, we're definitely in this together in every courses. And I think that because before this, if we have this one theory, we are adhere to that theory, we follow that theory. But in this course, it actually encouraged us to sometimes challenge the theory to see if the theory fits us, because not every theory fits us or fits our community, because sometimes with the changes of time, so everything, you can, not to say that you can question everything, but you have this massive pool of knowledge to explore, and that is always fun. So definitely I would like everyone to experience the same fun, the same entertainment that I have received in this course, this program. Please meet these wonderful educators, your wonderful friends, because this is, I would say, by far the best life experience I have ever felt.
Let me just make sure my claps are audible.
Same.
Wonderful. I love that community. First term that came to my mind, unity in community. It can be very lonely, isn't it, to explore ideas on your own, and sometimes we don't know, are we bouncing ideas that are relevant, or are we having this, like Sya said, all these feelings to ourselves and all this clutteredness in all this clutter in our heads. So yes, but I also love how Aimi keeps on emphasizing on that choice and that freedom. And now I understand that that is very important for Aimi and of course for all of us as a person. So of course, before this, we were prone to that. Okay, we like this theory. This theory shall define our life. This theory shall define how we read. All right, so I am a follower of that thing or this label. Especially living in the age of social media, everyone would want to belong. However, what I noticed that for intellectuals, for scholars, that is not the way to go if you are a learner, if you are a student, all right? You must also check, check the background of it, check the whys, check the hows, and would that theory be suitable? If it is not, then what are the other theories you have? For example, the first thing I thought, okay, reading Edward Said's Orientalism, and that's about it. Little did I know, after Edward Said, Homi Baba, Gayatri Spivak, and all of those scholars. And what I love is a theory is not the end goal. There's also local application. And that is where we as Malaysians, and of course our fellow friends from other countries, that is where we come in to, of course, be that, not filter, but be that person who will try to figure things out, how theory can be rooted in real life, and the world around us. So yeah, so that is so wonderful, Aimi. Such beautiful sharing. So thank you so much for that. What about you, Sya?
At first, when we planned to have this, I was thinking, how do I convince people to actually join us? Because it's really great, and I want it to be, known to people that we have this amazing, like you said, amazing community that helps you build and grow and share your ideas and your thoughts and opinions. So I was a different person back then. It was just a year and a half, right? So I was
Yes, all of us were, but
yeah,
different but better.
yeah. I'm happy to say that my preferences have changed. My reading materials have changed. I think I'm reading better books now. All thanks to my classmates and lecturers, and I mean my choices, my preferences, and all that. And I do want because this course actually makes you understand humanity. It makes us all grateful for the chances that we have, and also we want things to be better, and the community actually helps you go through these challenges, and oh my god, these are all scattered in my head, but this is what I'm trying to say, that what I'm trying to say is that when your passion will grow over time when you have a great support system and a safe space, I would say. So this program gives you just that and a lot more things, a lot more better things. So yeah, that's about it.
Thank you so much, Sya. That is also very, very arduous. Sometimes Sya and Aimi, but Sya also like, how do I say this? Sometimes I feel like your expressions really touched my heart. Because that is the beauty of it, isn't it? Of camaraderie, of how we cannot really separate content with the students and the teachers who are expressing it and imparting it, and then us as the receivers of such content and such knowledge. So that is why it is very, very beautiful. For me personally, I think like a post-colonial literature program or any literature program or post-colonial program, it's very important because I think without the scholars who studied this, imagine a world without post-colonialism. How would we then be viewing the society around us? Imagine if Edward Said did not live Palestine, and then I think he studied in Cornell. Yes, I wouldn't be able to imagine such a thing. I wouldn't want to. to be honest. So yes, it really makes me appreciate the works past scholars have done, because isn't it surprising that post-colonialism as a study it's pretty recent, isn't it? Like 1970s, 1980s, and I feel like we have such a great opportunity to be part of this world. And of course, once you're in, it's like Hotel California. You can never get out. And with that, yes, Dr. Rai would attest to that. Yes, it is hotel. And once you're like, there's a certain post-colonial switch in your head. And of course, now, as Aimi said, you're never turning it off. GSC, whatever cinema, whatever Netflix that you watch, and what a wonderful, to be that person is a wonderful, wonderful thing. I must admit. So yes, so thank you everyone for that. I hope you have found this conversation, to be honest, conversation among friends, on the same boat, to be helpful. And I hope it does remind you of the beauty of stories, beauty of the past. Of course, there can be a lot of pain in the past, but always lessons to learn, and that you enjoyed listening to our sharing of thoughts and ideas. So thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Ruby.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aimi. Thank you so much,
Thank
Dr.
you,
Rai.
Ruby. Thank you, Sya.